Welcome to the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show, the only productivity show about working less and enjoying life more. Get rid of overwhelming to-do lists, kick anxiety to the curb, and do more of what makes you happy. Are you ready to live life on your own terms? This is true freedom. This is efficiency by design. Welcome to Freeficiency with Dr. Anna Cragen.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to yet another episode of the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. This, I believe, is episode number 11. So we're in the double digits now. Super excited about that. And I am happy to welcome you guys here back to this episode. I'm going to be doing a solo strategy session this time. I like to do at least one of those every month so that I can talk to you guys about topics that I feel are important to address in the productivity space, but also making sure that I give you actionable tips on how to be more efficient in your business with limited time. And this episode specifically will be for those of you who do have limited time to work on your business. So I'm talking to all of you side hustlers, parents who are full-time with their kids, and anybody else who's working part-time hours building their business up until they can go full-time. So if you are here watching, let me know, say hi, so I can see who you are, and feel free to talk to me during the episode. I love reading your comments, I love answering your questions, and it just makes it a lot more fun when we are both talking to each other. Okay, so tonight's topic I want to introduce as how to be productive without being perfect. I felt that this was an important topic for me to talk about to you guys, because I think a lot of people think that productivity equals perfection. When you are being productive, you are being perfect and doing everything properly, everything how you're supposed to, everything what the gurus say to do, but really nobody is perfect. Even people who are highly efficient and get a lot done in their business, they are not perfect every single day. And I include myself in that count. I am definitely not perfect every single day. There are weeks where I have done a really bad job with my planning, so I'm floundering and scrambling just like the rest of you guys. So I really wanted to also address this topic because I think a lot of people think that in order to be efficient, you have to adopt this Spartan lifestyle of always working, never going out, never watching Netflix. There was a really funny article, well, funny to me, I don't think it was funny to a lot of people, that was talking about the 20 things that have no place in an ambitious millennial's life. And it included everything from going out with friends to watching Netflix. And I can't even remember some of the other things it said because, quite honestly, it was preposterous to me to suggest that just because we are building a business, that means that we have to cut out all those other things in our lives. So definitely do not agree with that. So I wanted really to talk about this, to dispel this culture of perfection and being like a machine, because we are not machines, we are human beings, and most of all bringing in this whole idea that your business is meant to support your lifestyle, not be your whole life, right? So efficiency is how we get to not spending all our time in the business, but still achieving great results. Okay. And I also wanted to, by way of introduction, say that I believe that true productivity really is accomplishing everything that you want, not just in your business, but in your whole life. And in this episode, I want to give you 3 of my best tips to give yourself some grace. because we all need that from time to time. We're not perfect. We're not always going to implement productivity strategies in the, the right way or the perfect way each and every single time. So I wanted to give you these tips to kind of build in some flexibility and some grace into your efficiency systems so that you do, so that you still get the benefits of a productivity system, but not kind of like the rigidity and the self-denial that I think the perception is that comes along with that. So before I launch into the tips, for anybody watching the show, let me know in the comments, what do you feel like you have to be perfect about in terms of productivity or efficiency? What is kind of overwhelming you when you think about being productive with a capital P? Let me know what are some of the things that you find frustrating about the productivity space in general, and so we can talk about them, and we can really, like I said, dispel this idea that to be productive means you have to live this, hermit lifestyle where you do nothing but work and you get everything done. So first tip that I wanted to share with you is something that I've only started implementing for a few months recently. So it wasn't originally part of my system. And the reason that it wasn't part of my system was because I frankly was very much sold on this idea that I created this plan, and by golly, I'm gonna stick to this plan no matter what. Come hell or high water, I'm going to get everything done on my to-do list, and there was no margin for error. So what happened when I had this mindset is that things happened. Life happened. My plan got derailed. Things took longer than I thought that they would. And I would always end up at the end of the week with quite a few items, usually about 2 or 3 items still on my to-do list that I haven't even touched. Have I been slacking off that whole week? No. But sometimes life happens. We get family emergencies. We get days where we are sick. We get things come up in our business that we urgently need to fix. And that kind of derails our even the most carefully built plans. So my tip for that is to set a backup time slot. So what does this look like? So the way that I have implemented it for my business is when I plan my week, I leave at least one day, or for me, what it looks like is I work 2 hours a night. So one of the nights I leave completely blank, and I think about that before I create my plan. Right? So I think about, okay, well, what is the milestone that I want to achieve this week? And how can I plan for it? So I work 5 days a week, so 4 days, right? So I only plan to finish my milestone in 4 days. That gives me that last day as my backup time slot. So here is... Sorry guys, I forgot to hit record on the audio version of this episode. But anyway, so sorry to get off track. So the backup slot, really, it kind of like gives you a few hours. So if you also work about 2 to 4 hours a night, it gives you a few hours of flexibility because you had not scheduled anything to be done during that time. That time is a little bit of a buffer. And even though it may seem like you are being inefficient by not scheduling that time, trust me when I say that you will be happy you had that time for when things inevitably go awry, things take up a little bit more time than you originally thought that they would, or just life stuff happens and one of your night's work is now uncompleted and you have to shift it to another night to kind of make your weekly plan work. So the backup slot really just makes it a lot easier to get what you said you wanted to get it done in the week's milestone that you've set. Okay, so why does this work to kind of dispel this idea that you have to be perfect? So I think a lot of people think that, okay, you make this plan and you have to stick to this plan. A lot of people think that they have to stay up all night if something took a little bit longer than they thought that it would, and now they have to kind of play this catch up, or this unending catch up, right? Because that's what it leads to. So really, the backup slot takes the pressure off of you. So my slogan for Freeficiency is peace of mind time management, right? So my really ultimate goal is to take away that overwhelm and anxiety that comes when you think about all that you have to do and how to plan everything and productivity in general. So the backup slot is a really good idea that I've been trying out for a few months now with great success that I want to pass on to you. It just takes the pressure off of you so that you're not behind with your plans, because I do know that, what's the point of making plans if you can't rely on them, right? So this gives you a chance to finish your plan with the extra flexibility built in. Plus, for those weeks where you complete all your work in those 4 days, or however many days you work, and you kind of don't really have anything scheduled for anything that leaks over into your backup time slot, you kind of feel like you have bonus time to do whatever you want with it. So you can take the day off, or you can work on the next week's work, or you can get started on the next project. So it's kind of very positive for your mindset as well, to not feel that pressure and also feel like you are being efficient. Because what is the feeling of efficiency really? It's being able or having done everything that you thought you wanted to get done in the time that you said you were going to get it done in. So if you get it done early, you feel like a complete rock star. And that's what's going to motivate you to create a plan for the next week and so on. So the backup time slot, try it out if you haven't yet. Don't schedule your whole week to the max. Don't strive for that perfection of ultimate efficiency, because trust me, some weeks you're gonna get there and other weeks you're not. And that's what's going to knock you down, is those weeks when you don't meet that ideal of perfection. Okay, so backup time slot. So what do you think about that? Do you like the idea of a backup time slot? If you implement this in your own business, I would love, love, love to hear any feedback you have about how it's working out for you and how it changed things for you, if at all, right? So if you try it and you find out that it hasn't really done anything, I want to hear that too, right? So definitely let me know if you implement the backup time slot in your business. The second tip that I want to talk to you about is this whole idea of advanced planning. So I am probably the biggest advocate for planning your days, your weeks, your months in advance, just because it is such a powerful way to make sure that you get rid of that overwhelm. So, okay, remember in the beginning of the episode when I talked about that the reason that we have this overwhelm about how efficient we are in our business is because we have this perception of that we need to be very productive and very efficient, and we have to use every second to the maximum. We have to make every moment count. That is just immense pressure that causes extreme anxiety when we sit down to work. We're looking at our to-do list and we have no clue what is the most important thing to work on right now. So if you are a side hustler or a parent who works on their business in the evening, when you sit down to work, you know that you have an hour, maybe 2 hours, to get the most important thing done that you need for that day, because you know that's the only time that you have. So when you sit there and you're looking at your to-do list and it's 5 miles long, and trust me, I've been there, so definitely no judgment, and you don't even know what the first thing to do is. Or to make matters worse, maybe you don't even have a to-do list. Maybe you are sitting down there and at your computer, and you have all of these ideas in your head of what you want your business to achieve, or what you want to achieve in your business, what you want your business to look like, but you have absolutely no idea how to make that happen. So basically what ends up is, in the best case scenario, you end up wasting several minutes or maybe even half an hour or, an hour trying to come up with a plan on the fly that maybe the next day you will completely change because you've completed the plan, you've gone to bed, you thought about it, and now, you realize that you should do something different. But in the worst case scenario, for the most of us, and I was definitely in that boat previously as well, is that you end up on Facebook, or you end up watching training videos that you're not sure you're ever going to try out that technique, right? So really, advanced planning takes away that overwhelm when you look at your to-do list, because in advance, so hopefully a week in advance, or even the night before, you have reviewed what you need to accomplish in your business this week, and you know what is the first thing that you need to work on when you sit down to work the next time. So advanced planning really helps you work smarter, not harder. And that's something that a lot of people say, but what does that actually mean? So that means that when you sit down to work, you know exactly what the most important thing is according to the purpose that you try to achieve. If you try to sit down and think about, well, what is the most important thing? Well, the most important thing for what? Right? So what is the overarching goal that you want to do in your business, or you want to hit in your business? If you don't know what that overarching goal is, and trust me, when you are just trying to make a plan on the fly without first looking at the big picture of your business, you have no idea what you're trying to work towards. You have certain ideas about, well, I want more coaching clients, I want more visibility, these general ideas that we don't really have a plan for how we're going to get there, okay? So what planning in advance lets you have is, first of all, that bird's eye view of the big picture in your business, but then it also helps you to then create your plan, your daily specific tasks, going from the bigger picture down to the specifics, okay? So that is really why planning is such a big deal, and why I am an advocate about it. So what do you think about planning? Or that is a really vague question. Let me know what planning method do you currently use, even if that's no planning method, right? Tell me what kind of feelings do go along with the planning method that you are using. So do you not have a planning method and you feel that overwhelm looking at your to-do list? Do you have a planning method but it's not really working? What does that look like for you? Let me know in the comments, and let's try to figure it out this episode. So finally, my final tip for you is to batch as much as possible. And batching is really one of those things that people don't really quite know how to start, or what to do, or even what kinds of things could be batched. So they feel like they have to have all their ducks in a row and be really perfect about their batching, or it doesn't work. So I have actually just recently recorded an interview that is going to air at the end of April, all about batching and how you can get started. But for now, I want to, again, take away some of that overwhelm and anxiety around batching and suggest a really simple first step to batching your things that come up. So what do I mean by things that come up? So let's say you have a plan this week or next week to write your blog posts for next month, or maybe you have a plan to start a Facebook group, or whatever your weekly plan is, and then you're chugging along, you're making good progress on the plan, and then something inevitably pops up that throws a wrench into that plan. Maybe your website needs updating, maybe somebody sent you an email and they need they need some information from you. Or maybe it's an administrative task, like it's time to do your accounting because you haven't done it in forever, right? Or maybe there is an issue with something else. So this is what I mean by things that pile up. And these one-off tasks that usually, can be resolved in about 10 to 20 minutes each are perfect for batching. So what is batching really? So batching is the concept when instead of dealing with each task as it comes up, you wait until you have a good collection of that type of task, and then you take a chunk of time and you work on only tasks of that field. So let's say you let all of your accounting tasks pile up and then take care of them once a week. Or you let all your communication pile up for a couple of days, and then you have a dedicated communication time block, right? Where you're answering emails, answering Facebook messages, all that kind of stuff. So this is really what batching is. And I feel like those things that come up that are super frustrating because they kind of break your flow of working, those are really prime for trying out batching at first. Okay, so and the reason that they are so annoying and so frustrating is because they come in out of nowhere and they suddenly hijack your day or your week or, a couple of weeks if it's a really big issue. So you always have that hanging over your head and you're frustrated and you're overwhelmed because you see your other work that you have meticulously planned to get done during that time is now being pushed away. Okay? So this is a very common thing that happens not just in business, but in life when somebody else's agenda or somebody else's mistake suddenly becomes your responsibility to fix. That's super annoying. And it does nothing to help with that overwhelm, right? And also, how many of us have gotten an email message that is not urgent, right? It's a request for information maybe, and we have felt like, oh my God, I have to respond to this person right away, otherwise they're gonna think that I don't care about my business or I don't care about them, and we kind of feel this pressure to, again, be so perfect in responding in a timely manner, doing all these things on time, and all of that kind of stuff. So really, the reason that batching works, and batching especially those annoying things that come up, is because it allows you to work with the plan that you've already made, but knowing that once these issues crop up, you have a dedicated time to take care of them, right? You have your administrative batching time, if you will, or one-off tasks, or things that come up batching time. You know that for myself, I take Mondays to do all of the repeatable administrative tasks, and then I also have Thursdays as my secondary communications day. Because I do realize that it's not always possible to allow communication to pile up for a week and then respond the week after that. But a couple of days, especially if people send you an email, they're really not going to notice. So really, by not being perfect and not tackling everything as it comes up, you're actually freeing up more time. You're freeing up more of your energy to do your productive work, right? Because responding to emails and dealing with administrative things, those are things that you have to do, but they're not necessarily the single best use of your time, which, as I'm sure you know from talking to people who are further along in business, is the first thing that they outsource, right? So it allows you to be productive by sticking to your original plan, but also not letting those things that are not very productive, I guess, by not letting them fall to the wayside and kind of like attack your mind with, hey, don't forget to, update your bank stuff, or don't forget to do your accounting, so that you can really focus on doing your most productive work. Okay, so let me know, are you currently batching in your business? What kinds of things are you batching? And how do you take care of all those little things that crop up in your business? All right, so at this point, if you are still listening or watching this episode, you're likely feeling very overwhelmed with this kind of like pressure to be perfect and productive, And more than likely, you're probably overwhelmed with this whole planning thing too. So even though one of my tips is to plan in advance, to reduce your overwhelm and anxiety, it's probably likely that you're listening to this advice and you're saying like, okay, great. Like I'm already overwhelmed with like my 5-mile long to-do list. And now she wants me to put all this planning work on top of it. Like, if I don't have time to get things done in my business that I'm always feeling behind, when am I going to have time to do this planning? And I think that really comes from this idea, or not idea, this really like gap in our education as business owners and really, I mean, in life, is that nobody really taught us how to plan, right? I have never taken a course on it in high school or in college. I would have loved to take a course on planning. But really, we're told that by the productivity gurus that yes, you have to plan and you have to do this and you have to batch and all of this kind of stuff. But then we're not given really any of the tools in order for how to actually do this. So my goal really is to not just keep telling you, okay, do this, do that, and so on and so forth, but to empower you, to really teach you the process so that you can walk through it by yourself in order to reduce anxiety, reduce overwhelm, and let's face it, get stuff done and see results, right? Because it can be really demotivating when you're keeping very busy, but not having so much to show for it. So what I have come up with recently is I've been thinking about how to really bridge that gap. So as most of you know, I do have my one-on-one program that I work with clients to install a full time management system for all aspects of their business. But I really saw a gap in between, you know, a full 4-week commitment and nothing, right? And like productivity tips. So I am excited to introduce my 30-minute plan to hit your goals calls. So these are super quick. They're 30 minutes each. And basically, what happens on these calls is I teach you a step-by-step method for how to plan to hit a particular goal, right? So plan to hit your goals. So what happens is you bring a project that you've been overwhelmed about, you don't know how to start, you don't know how to fit it into the day that you already have, you're afraid that you're going to make another plan that is unrealistic and it's just going to fall by the wayside and you're going to feel bad about yourself and how you made the plan. So you bring that project, I bring my proven process for how to plan in a clear, specific, and most importantly, realistic way to help you walk away from this call with confidence and clarity, and more importantly, motivated and excited to work on this business or to work on your goal so that you can hit this goal in your business. So, in order to do that, to grab one of these calls, go to freeficiency.com/plan. You'll be able to watch a short video, a little bonus video that I created for you guys that is all about the 3 mistakes that people usually make when they make their plans that cause them to not follow through with the plan up until completion. So watch that video and then use that button below to book your call. And have I mentioned that these calls are only $29? I want to get you the results that you need in just 30 minutes of your time and $29, which is, you know, almost nothing. In turn, for what you get, which is a proven process that you can use over and over and over again to create a project plan for any project, no matter how big or overwhelming, so that you always know what to do when you sit down to work. You don't suffer from that analysis paralysis, and basically you get super clear on where your business is going, and it's a repeatable process. Everything that I teach is a process that you can use over and over again by yourself, almost kind of like having me sit next to you and walk you through things step by step. So again, go to freeficiency.com/plan, there's a button there to see my calendar and book your call. So I really hope that you guys take advantage of that offer. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode on not being perfect, right? Not being perfect and still being efficient while giving yourself some buffer, some grace, and patience, okay? So this has been another episode of the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. My name is Anna Cragen, your host, and I want to remind you guys to keep building your dreams one day at a time. I will see you guys next week on the show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Freeficient Entrepreneur Show. You can find more great content like this at freeficiency.com.